Hello my friends and welcome. Before we get into this, there is an uncommentated version of the video posted, so if you don't want to hear me talking all the way through it, I'll post the link in the description for that. We're about to start the Jill playthrough, and we start off with about 5 minutes of cutscenes. I'm not going to talk throughout the cutscenes, I'm just going to sit and quietly drink my coffee, and I will see you on the other side.
Alpha Team is flying around the forest zone situated in northwest Raccoon City, where we're searching for the helicopter of our compatriots Bravo Team, who disappeared during the middle of our mission.
You haven't found it?
No, I haven't found it yet. Bizarre murder cases have recently occurred in Raccoon City. There are outlandish reports of families being attacked by a group of about 10 people. Victims were apparently eaten. Bravo Team went to the hideout of the group and disappeared.
Look, Chris!
It was Bravo Team's helicopter. Nobody was in it. But strangely, most of the equipment was still there. However, we soon discovered why.
Hey! Come here! Run for that house!
Chris Redfield. Jill Valentine. Barry Burton. Rebecca Chambers. Albert Wesker. Resident Evil.
What is this?
Wow, what a mansion!
Captain Wesker, where's Chris?
Stop it! Don't open that door!
But Chris is...
What is it?
Maybe it's Chris. Now, Jill, Can you go?
I'm going with you. Chris is our old partner, you know.
Okay, let me handle this. Stay alert!
A dining room.
And we're off. Get to walk forward all of 20 feet before the first cutscene. That's the tutorial out the way.
What? What is this?
What is it?
Blood. Jill, see if you can find any other clues. I'll be examining this. Hope this is not Chris's blood.
May as well pick this up now. I wonder what's down here. First bit of combat. He's not dead. So we look out for the blood on the floor to tell whether the zombie's dead or not. There he goes. Don't forget that poor Kenneth here has 2 clips of ammo on him. Make sure you pick those up. Hope you enjoyed that. The uncut FMVs that we've had. That's because we're playing the Japanese version with Classic Rebirth kind of mod, but I'll talk more about that later. We've got some more cutscenes in the meantime.
Barry?
What is it?
Watch out! It's a monster!
Let me take care of this. What is it?
Kenneth was killed too. Maybe by this creature. Anyway, let's report this to Wesker.
Wesker! Help me look for him, Jill. And don't leave this hall for the time being.
So, time to conduct a thorough search.
Find anything, Jill?
Nothing. What is this all about? I can't figure it out at all.
Beats me, too.
Now it's Wesker's time to disappear. I don't know what's going on.
Well, it can't be helped. Let's search for him separately. I'll check the dining room again.
Okay, I'll try the door on the opposite side.
This mansion is gigantic. We could get into trouble if we get lost. We should start from the first floor, okay? And Jill, here's a lockpick. It might be handy if you, the master of unlocking, take it with you.
Thanks. Maybe I'll need it.
Listen, if something happens, let's meet up in this hall. This time I'll be there.
So these cutscenes are not skippable, so we have to watch them anyway, so we may as well embrace it and enjoy them. I do love the charm of, you know, the schlocky voice acting and all that. It is lovely. We're not quite done with the intro cutscenes yet. I want to trigger one of Barry's optional scenes upstairs, and in order to do that, you need to open these double doors that we've just come through first. So I come in here, pick up the map, just for the sake of completion, really. And we're going to go upstairs and just trigger this next scene. This version that we're playing has the door skip enabled, so we can skip these transitions. But just for anyone who may not have seen them, I let a few of them play out before I start skipping them. So we come up here first to see Barry.
Jill! Don't scare me.
That's what I was going to say. Aren't you supposed to be going over the first floor, Barry?
Yeah, you're right. But just take a look at this. It's forest. Oh my God.
It's awful.
I'm going to find out what caused Forrest's death. It looks like he was killed by a crow or something. Can you look around the first floor, Jill?
Okay.
Hey, Jill. This must have been Forrest's. You don't have a weapon. Take this with you.
Right, so equipping the grenade gun straight away. And that's because we want to use up these rounds that are in it. And there's a reason for that, which we'll probably talk about a bit later. But for the time being, we're going to go in here and shoot our first few zombies. As far as I know, the zombies always die from one hit when you got the explosive rounds in the grenade gun. So we've got a few to kill here. We're going to kill 5 and then go into the first save room. We've got our botany book here. It tells us about the herbs. There's nothing else in this room to get. And I should say really that, you know, the idea of this, it's not a speed run or anything. Really, it's just kind of a fun, casual playthrough. I guess I wanted it to be a bit of a new player's guide, so if you've not played it before, or maybe you're struggling with trying to figure out where to go when, it just shows a reasonably efficient route through the mansion, a good order to do things in. I dare say it's not perfect. There's a bit of toing and froing. So yeah, you can see that I fired a random grenade there just to empty the gun. Because one thing about the grenade gun is that you can't load more ammunition into it until you've expended all the current ammunition. But we'll see that later. So I like to get a couple of herbs in to the storage box just in case. Pick up all the ammo, dump the grenade gun for now. And don't forget to pick up the chemicals on the right hand side of the screen there. So that's what we're going to be going and doing next. And one of the things I want to showcase here for anyone who is new or may not be aware is that the Resi games have got a reputation for needing to conserve ammo, needing to be careful. And one thing I wanted to show with this playthrough is that for this first game at least, that's really not the case. You have got plenty of ammo to kill the living hell out of everything twice. Which I pretty much do. There's very few enemies that I leave alive. Pretty much anything I see I think I kill in this run. And at no point am I struggling for ammunition of any kind. So yeah, this is basically the Japanese version of the game, running on PC on Windows 10. And I think my understanding is, I'm not an expert, but for a long time it was a bit of a pain in the arse to get this running well on Windows. And so some modders made what they call the Classic Rebirth version, which just makes it very easy to just install and play on a modern system with no quibbles. And it's very easy to set up. If you type in Resident Evil Classic Rebirth to Google, the page will come up. It will just guide you through exactly what to do. You will have to find yourself a copy of Biohazard to download, but that's not difficult at all. It took me all of about 2 minutes. And then the Classic Rebirth itself is just a DLL that you download and bung it in the root folder of the game. Added to that, I also added like a high-res texture mod and something just to make the FMV files a little bit bigger in resolution, I think. But when you go onto Classic Rebirth, it'll give you a list of mods that you can add if you want. It's very easy to follow. I would recommend doing it. It's the easiest way to play it. And the great advantage of Classic Rebirth, this is what I love about this version, why I consider this personally to be the definitive version, is that you can tactical reload, which you will see me do in just a second, by which I mean that you don't need to go into the menu to reload your gun. And once this chap's dead, there we go. So I can do that, which I love. And also it gives you access to quick turn, so I can do a 180 by just tapping down and run together, which is a nice little quality of life upgrade. And you can see, I mean, it may be old, but with all the high-res stuff in it, it's... You wouldn't say the graphics are good by modern standards. You can tell it's of its time. But my god, like, the pre-rendered backgrounds still look lovely. And I just think the game does have a lovely look to it. It's almost like stylized and timeless, except maybe Jill's model, but I'm sure opinions vary. So here's our first key. We've used the chemical on the plant. You can check the keys like so. A lot of this stuff I'm just doing for the sake of completion, to show perhaps people who are watching this who haven't played the game what to do, where to go. So here, you don't need to pick up these herbs. I do it just as a little bit of a safety tactic. I like to just get a couple of mixes together, bung them in the storage box just in case. So that's our first little quest done. And now we have the armor key. Before we start using the armor key, I'm just going to quickly run back to the storage box to dump these herbs off. Again, this isn't necessary if you're confident to not do this. I guess it's just part of my personal OCD, but without having a few herbs in stock, I just feel too anxious to continue. Here's our first armor key door. And Jill has the convenience of the lockpick, which throughout the game that gives us access to quite a few shotgun shells. So we've still got plenty of rounds. And we're now collecting shotgun shells. We pick up the broken shotgun to help us solve a puzzle. And as I said, notice that I am not shy in coming forward with the 9mm. Anything I see, just gun it down. And ammo really is not a problem. Another nice thing about this game is that you have auto-aim. So I'm playing it on a PS4 pad on the PC. I have the aim button as L1. And it's a good way to tell if zombies are alive or dead when they're on the floor. If you're not sure, just tap the aim button and see if it aims at them. If it does, you know they're alive. Jump scare. But normally, for anyone who doesn't know, when they're on the floor, you can tell if they're dead by seeing that pool of blood that slowly spreads out. Once you see that, you know they're dead. But there's plenty of places in the game, with it being quite dark and everything, where you can't always see that. So here's the files. I'm not going to go through and read all these to you. What I am going to do is just go through them slowly enough so that if you do want to read them, you can just pause each page briefly and read through them. So I'm just contemplating briefly what to do next. Very famous room with a very famous puzzle. Why would you put a shelving unit in front of another shelving unit? So here's one of our first little puzzles done. So that's uncovered our second key. Normally I don't pick that up straight away. Do I pick it up here? No. No, I'll come back and get that in a second. Can't remember exactly the details of this run. I recorded a couple of runs over the past couple of days, so the details of exactly which is which I'm not sure of, although they are very similar. As I record this, it's the middle of April 2023, so the Resident Evil 4 remake has just come out a couple of weeks ago. And prior to it coming out, I kind of came back and started playing some of these classics again after, well, I don't know how long actually, the last time I would have played these. Resident Evil 2, I think I only played a few years ago. But I think it's been at least a decade until I've been back to this one. I've played through the remake a couple of times, which I had originally on the GameCube. That came out in 2002. Which was only 6 years after this. This was 1996. So that the remake. It wasn't actually out that long before the remake on the GameCube. So we got the shield key, we've got the first crest, one of 4 crests that we need. And we're pretty much done with the west wing, at least for now. Going to come across to the east. Another armor key door here. So normally I pause after the 3rd shot and the 4th shot because I want to see if the zombie's going to go down or not, so that I don't waste ammo. And this next room, because this is a first playthrough, there's nothing I can do in here, but I just came in here for the sake of completion, just to show you what it is. And there's a door here that says you don't have the key for it. And basically this is the closet. If you are kind of on a New Game Plus run, so you've loaded up a completed save file, then you'll get a special key that will let you go in that door and change your outfit. And there's 2 alternative outfits to choose from. Both of which I hate anyway. I much prefer Jill's standard Stars uniform. That's one of the reasons I kind of consider Jill my personal canon playthrough, just because I love her voice acting. I really love the schlocky, charming, tongue-in-cheek kind of B-movie feel of the whole thing, whether intentional or unintentional. And I mean, my understanding is, I think that one of the reasons it's like that is because it's directly translated from Japanese into English, which often makes the English sound a bit weird. Oh, here's our first canine encounter. Here's a little tip that I picked up. So, notice I turned around and walked backwards before that encounter. Before doing this run, I was watching a couple of videos from Carcinogen SDA, I think his full name is. But he's a big Resident Evil YouTuber, does speedruns and stuff. I watched a couple of his videos to get an idea of how to tidy up the route a little bit. And just picked up a couple of his strats for dealing with some bosses and tricky situations. Which is why I turned around and then walked backwards. Although it's not actually as necessary on this version because I do have auto-aim. So if I had been facing the wrong way and pressed the aim button, Jill would have spun around automatically. So use the armor key there. I don't bother going out into that door I just unlocked. And this is just a useless room, isn't it? There's nothing in here. Or at least for Jill there's not. But yeah, the one I unlocked is a little garden bit. And the only thing that's out there is a couple of dogs and a few herbs that you can pick up. So, if you want the herbs, by all means go and get them out there. I don't bother. Not necessary. There's a few rooms you don't need to go into. This can be a famous trap room. Here, make sure you've got a slot free so you can pick up the shotgun. And if you've got the broken shotgun, you can replace it. And then when you leave the room, there is no trap. But if you don't have the broken shotgun, then here the roof comes down on you. And you have to be saved by young Barry Burton. But we now have a shotgun. I'm not going to use it for a while. Still plenty of rounds for our pistol. So that's a door for later. When we got the helmet key. And here we've got a puzzle with the paintings. A very famous puzzle. So we have to hit these switches in the order, in chronological order. So the first one is a newborn baby. Second is an infant. A lively boy. That's blatantly a blank piece of paper, which says it's a young man. A middle-aged man. Finally, an old man. And if you do fuck this puzzle up, the crows will attack you. And actually, I'm not sure if they reset. If you do get attacked, you might be able to just leave the room and come back in. I'm not 100%. So we have our second crest. Inventory's full. But this is all according to plan. Because we're right next to the door that leads us outside to where we can dump those crests and free up a bit of space. I'm quite patient killing the dogs. I kind of wait for them to get up again because they kind of have some invincibility frames while they're in their getting up animation, it seems. Or at least there have been plenty of times when I shoot them while they're getting up and it misses. So I just wait until they get back on all 4 feet and then shoot them again. Just to not completely waste ammo. So now this leads us back to somewhere we've already been. If you recognise this staircase. Important item in this room that we need to progress. The lighter. So make sure you get that. Hidden magazine here. And you'll notice there's a red herb down there in the corner if you need it.
Is that you, Jill?
What's going on? How come you look so scared?
Look at this. What do you think of it?
I've been thinking something is wrong with this house.
Right.
Hey, what is this? There's a page missing.
Yeah, I thought about that too. Perhaps that was the most important part.
I love Jill's double take. I mean, given the time, it is bloody well animated. And I like the way it feels as well. I was chatting to a mate of mine, telling him that I was playing through this again. And one of his comments was about he said the controls were janky. He said, what, with the janky controls? And make sure you unlock this door, by the way, because that helps us get rid of the armor key a little bit quicker. Oh, actually, we're going to go and see... We're going to have a little cutscene coming up, so I shall continue this story in a bit.
Richard, what happened?
Oh, Jill, this house is dangerous. There are terrible demons. Ouch!
You're wounded. What kind of demon attacked you?
It was a huge snake. And also poisonous. Ugh.
Poisonous? Richard, hold on.
There is serum. Oh no, I should have brought some with me.
No problem. I'll go and get it.
Thanks.
So this is where we need to get to. It's not far. And the music in those cutscenes is just a bit too loud a lot of the time. You can't really hear what the characters are saying. So there shouldn't be any enemies between us and the save room where the serum is now. And it also gives us a good chance to tidy up our inventory in preparation for the boss fight that we got coming up. Oh, missed. You'll notice also, by the way, that I ditched the knife early. Just don't use it at all. No need to. Here's the serum. Keep the grenade gun, keep the lighter, and you need the shield key. There is a couple more doors in that passage just there, but you can't open either of them just yet, which is why I've just ignored them. Come on, run, Jill. I'm sure we can get back to Richard in time to save him. This time.
Here's the serum. Richard, hold on. I'll give you a shot now.
Jill, here's my radio. You should keep it. I'm...
No! Richard!
Jill, be careful.
Richard is dead, but don't forget to steal his ammunition. He would want you to. More ammo in here. And you do need the lighter for this. You have to light these candles, and then when you go in here to pick up this ammo, if you haven't lit the candles, it doesn't let you pick up the ammo. It just says, oh, I can't see what I'm doing. So you have to light the candles to get the acid rounds, put the acid rounds in the grenade gun. And that's for the first boss that we've got coming up. So this is why we emptied the grenade gun, so that we could load the acid rounds, because this boss does not like acid rounds. And if you hit it 4 times, then it should be done. Here's the strap that I use for this, is from the Classic video I saw. So you stand still, wait for him to hiss, then run. soon as he hisses, you peg it. You run round this corner and stand on the edge, just about here. So just aim here, aim down, and as soon as the snake comes around the corner, just shoot him 4 times. And we're done. Now, if you fuck that up and get bitten, I think you're guaranteed to get poisoned in this fight. And then you'll have to run back to get more serum for yourself. But you have got enough time to get there before you die. You do have blue herbs in the game to cure poison, but there's none in the game at this point. So if you get poisoned, you'll come out this door, you'll have a little cutscene where Jill goes, "Oh, I need serum," and then you have to go and get the serum. There's a couple of green herbs there if you need them. So I'm just thinking about where I'm going next. Remember, we just picked up the 3rd of our 4 crests after killing Yawn, the snake. Now in here there's a switch, and if you hit the switch, poisonous gas comes out of those vents in the floor. So you cover the vents first, and then hit the switch. And we get our 4th and final crest. Now there is one more use for the lighter in the game, and I'm hoping that I go and do it now, because I'm going to be going back into this corridor, and at the end of this corridor there's another use for the lighter. And it looks like I'm not doing it. Oh! I am doing it, I remembered. Okay, good. So there's no need to do this, it's not necessary, I'm just doing it for the sake of completion, to show you that this is here if you want it. If you don't know your way around the mansion, then you can light this fire, and you get a map of the 2nd floor. And that red door on the left there, we can't open that yet, which is why I'm ignoring it. And we have to do that a bit later. So now, we are ready. We've pretty much done the whole first visit to the mansion. We're ready to go outside. See, those textures don't quite line up. That's the only thing I've noticed in the texture pack that I downloaded. As far as I can tell, it seems pretty much perfect, except for that one little thing that the crests don't quite line up with the owls. So this is a key item, you can't continue without this. We've got some dogs to fight. So you can probably see Jill moving from left to right with her gun aim here and there. That's just me tapping the aim button before I shoot. And that's a habit. Oh.
This is Brad. Stars Alpha Team. Please respond. What the hell? Is nobody out there?
Brad, this is Jill.
Bravo team, it doesn't matter. Anybody, answer me. This is
Brad? Brad!
Yeah, so whenever you hear that beeping in the game, that means Brad's trying to contact you on the radio. As you can see though, he can contact us, but it seems like our radio's buggered and we can't contact him back. I think I've just done this for safety. I normally take damage from some of these dogs at some point. It's quite rare I get through it without getting hit at least once or twice. What was I talking about before that? This is where we got to use the crank to empty the pool. Oh yeah, the aiming. Yeah, it's a good habit to get into if you're playing through this, that most of the time before you fire, just tap the aim button just before you fire, just to make sure you're not wasting rounds. And if you've got 2 dogs that you're fighting, which you have in this bit 2 or 3 times, it's the best way of making sure that you shoot one, then the other, so that neither of them get a chance to get to you. You just kind of stagger their animations. Here you get the snakes dropping on the ground, just ignore them. Snakes just spawn infinitely, there's no point killing them. They can poison you, just run and you won't get hit. And more dogs. Now if you walk, the dogs don't really aggro. If you keep your distance and just walk, they won't go for you. So I get myself into a good position and then start firing. That was a bit close. Okay, I got away with it, but I could have easily got hit there. Always remember to reload, don't want to get caught short. This is where I normally get hit by the dogs. It's... Okay, again, I was a bit lucky there. But as you can see, more green herbs there. There's plenty of herbs lying around. If you do get hit, you know, just take a couple of herbs. The one thing you want to be careful of is that if you pick up a herb and you've got full health, you won't be able to use it, and there's also no way to discard items in this game. The only way you could get rid of it is to put it in a storage box. So I'm just showing you there that there's a couple of blue herbs there if you need them, if you did get poisoned by a snake or something. And I push this down the corridor to cover up a hole in the floor. The next big boss is a plant 42. And that hole there just in front of us, if you walk past it, you get grabbed by a tentacle from the plant. So I'm just covering the hole up so that does not happen. And we can start exploring the guardhouse. So it's usually around this time that I'll ditch the handgun and start using the shotgun. So here I'm just tapping aim and waiting for Jill to spin, so that I know when I'm able to hit the zombie. And you might see me do that a few times. I intentionally aim in the wrong direction so that I can see very clearly when Jill then turns to aim at the enemy. Loads of shotgun rounds. We still got 2 acid rounds in that grenade launcher, and that's relevant. That will come in handy in a second. So I'm realising here I've made a little bit of a mistake because I need space in my inventory for the item we're about to uncover, which means I've got to quickly nip across to the save room, which luckily is just across the hall. But before I do that, apparently I'm going to come in here and use these acid rounds. And there's a very good reason why I try and kill these two enemies with the acid rounds. But unfortunately, the first one did not die, which is unusual. I think it might be the first time I've hit one of these guys with the acid round and not had him die first time, straight away. Because the one that I hit with the acid round just rolls onto his back and dies and nothing happens. But if you kill him with normal ammo, like I did the second one, you can see these little baby spiders are released. And it's really not a big deal. If they do damage you, they do a tiny, tiny amount of damage. So here there's kind of a puzzle. The idea is that those pool cues are supposed to signify kind of hands on a clock, and they're pointing to 3:45. So we've now done everything we can with the lighter. We never need that again. We will need the crank later, but not for a long time. So here I'm just thinking about what I'm going to need. So I'm still going with the handgun for now by the look of it. Or I may be about to swap out the grenade gun for the shotgun. What am I going to do? I think I might be ditching the handgun ammo, yeah. So I've ditched the handgun bullet. So I've kept the handgun on me with a full clip. Once you kind of know your way through the game, what you're doing at these points is trying to think about what's coming up in the next bit and how much inventory space am I going to need for it. And for a little puzzle that's coming up, I know that I'm going to need at least 3 inventory spaces. So with those rooms cleared, come in here and get the other key. These wasps are kind of like the snakes. They just spawn infinitely. They're bloody annoying. There's no point in killing them. Just turn around and run. And if you check the key, you don't need to do this checking, by the way. I'm just doing it just to show what they are. So that's the 002 key, and here's the 002 room. What the hell was all that about?
Hi, Jill.
Hi, Barry. I heard someone talking.
So you heard it too. I think I'm getting old. It seems that talking to myself is becoming a habit.
Talking to yourself? Barry, something must have happened to you. Am I wrong? You sound strange.
Well, it seems I made you worry, but don't. Maybe I have been a nervous wreck since all of these strange things started happening. Well, I think I'll go out and get some fresh air for a change. I told you, don't worry. I'll just go and get some fresh air and be eaten by a monster.
So, as we can see, Barry is completely normal and totally trustworthy. So yeah, my mate said that the controls were janky. The controls are not janky. I think the reason I took umbrage with that comment is because, like, janky suggests that they don't work properly. And in this game, the controls work absolutely fine. They are responsive, they are precise. They take some getting used to. And, you know, there's a difference between not being easy and actually being at fault, being janky. So they're absolutely not janky. And I like the way it controls. And what I find interesting is that I know that there's a bit of a myth that Mikami wanted the tank controls in because it made it feel more kind of claustrophobic. And I'm sure Mikami himself has said more than once in interviews that that's actually not the case, and that the controls were like that for other reasons, such as that's actually an existing control scheme they already had designed for other games, so it was just very easy to port it across. But the other thing I would point out is that because of the static camera angles in this game, it works better with tank controls than it would without them. And by the way, if you're new to this, what I mean by tank controls, in case you don't know, is that the way this works is that if you press up on the D-pad, then whichever way Jill's facing, that makes her walk forward. And then when you press left or right, she just rotates on the spot, left or right. But you can run around corners, as you'll see me do just here, by pushing diagonals. So if I press up and left or up and right, then, you know, she'll sort of run in a curve and you can run around corners. Waist high in the water now. I hope there's nothing dangerous in here. I'm sure there's not. So just go for the second door there, and you can get in there well before you get harmed. So, yeah, the point being, that if you're pushing forward on the D-pad and Jill's walking forward, and then the camera angle changes, that really doesn't matter. Because regardless of the angle it changes to, you're still just walking forward, so it makes sense to the player. Whereas if you imagine that, you know, if you push left, she walks left, if you push right, she walks right, then when you change cameras, it doesn't work properly, because you could be pushing left, and then the camera changes, but you're no longer walking left, you're walking in a different direction, but you're holding left, which just doesn't really work. And I remember, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Devil May Cry, but I remember that being a bit bloody annoying sometimes in Devil May Cry, because that's how that worked. He would just run in the direction you push, and, you know, the Resident Evil remake works like this, that you can run in the direction you push, although that also gives you the option of tank controls on the D-pad, which I think is a nice compromise. But my point is, I think that, you know, the design of the game, the way the controls work, it all complements each other. It works well together. So these poor sharks, there's absolutely no reason to kill them whatsoever. But if you do want to, they die in one bullet. And you may have noticed there was also a blue door down there that we didn't go in, and that's because there's nothing we can do in there yet, but we will be back. Oh, we got the shotgun out now. Nice. There are just so many nice touches in this game. I do love the door, the little transitions with the doors. It's a real little touch of genius. It's like anyone who's read game reviews has probably heard the term ludonarrative dissonance before, ludonarrative resonance. It's a bit of a toffee-nosed, snobby term for what we call journalists in the game industry at the moment, but it's a very interesting idea. Like the idea of ludonarrative resonance is the idea that the narrative of the game should match up with the gameplay rather than conflicting with it. And to some extent, most games have quite a lot of dissonance in that respect. I'm trying to think of an example. So, like, when we started this, in one of the first cutscenes, Barry takes 3 shots to kill a zombie with a Colt Python. But in the actual game, if you've got a Colt Python, it guarantees an instant kill on any zombie in 1 shot. So although that's a silly, tiny example, it is kind of an example of that kind of dissonance. I think one of the most famous examples I can think of... Oh, we're coming up for a big puzzle here, which I should probably explain a little bit. But one of these big examples I can think of is where in one of the Tomb Raider games you go and kill a load of people, and then you have a cutscene where Lara Croft is absolutely beside herself because she had to kill one person in a cutscene. But anyway, so here, I think I've been talking over some important stuff. There was a file that we picked up a little while ago that was talking about making a solution called V-Jolt that we could use on this plant. Now the solution, you can see we're picking up UMB chemicals here. We've picked up UMB number 2, UMB number 4, and now we've got some water. Now what we've got to do is we've got to mix together a solution of UMB 16, which is called V-Jolt. So to start with here, I'm mixing together 4 and 2 to make UMB 6, and then water counts as UMB 1, so now we've got number 7. So this is basically just a little kind of numerical puzzle that you mix these together until you've got 16. And in the file that tells you about it, the one thing it warns you of is that if you mix certain numbers together, you can create poisonous gas. I think it's I think it might be 5 that you have to avoid. That at no point do you want to end up with a UMB 5 because that will damage you. So here I'm putting another 4 and 2 together to make 6, and then adding that 6 to the 7 to make 13. So now to make the 13 into UMB 16, which we need, I just get a bottle of UMB 2, a bottle of water, mix the 2 and the water to make 3, and then add that to the 13. And that's number wang. So yeah, I'm sorry, I should have spoken about that file, because I remember at the time when I was recording, I left that page open for ages so that I could talk over it and explain it, and I was completely talking about something else. But now we've got the V-Jolt, we're going to head back downstairs to the blue door in the basement so we can use it. I think it's interesting also that we class this as survival horror, which I think is a phrase that Capcom themselves coined when this game came out. Because when you load up a save file, the game says, enter back into the world of survival horror, I think it is. But essentially, I mean, it is pretty much what we'd call Metroidvania, really, I think. And, I mean, this was 1996, I think Super Metroid, that was, a couple of years prior? 94, something like that. And Symphony of the Night was, I think that was after Resident Evil, actually. That was probably 97, 98. But, Metroidvania existed when Resident Evil came out. But we don't really talk about it as Metroidvania, but it's basically the same thing. This idea of sort of branching paths that you open up with certain items, and then they kind of fold back in on themselves and lead back to familiar places. It is basically Metroidvania. And what I particularly like about the design of Resident Evil is that it really makes you pay attention to your environment. You don't just want to wander around the mansion aimlessly, you really want to pay attention to how each room interconnects with other rooms and how each area relates to each other, so that you end up actually knowing the mansion quite intimately. It's something that I think I fell in love with Bloodborne as well. I think Bloodborne borrows a lot from Resident Evil. Kind of a combination of elements from the classic trilogy with a few elements of Resident Evil 4. So we're thinking about inventory space here. Got a boss fight coming up. So I want my grenade gun, got explosive rounds. And just in case, I'm making a safety save. This can go wrong. So we went downstairs, you saw me put the V-Jolt on the roots of the plant. That makes this fight, I think it just makes the plant weaker, and it means that we can kill it ourselves without Barry's help. It's a little bit of a strange fight though, because whenever I've tested it, what I found is that if you fire 3 shots at the plant, the third one almost always misses. So I kind of developed my own little way of doing it, so that I don't waste a load of grenade shells when I'm doing the fight. I'll show you what I mean when we get there. We got some flame rounds on the floor here. So when we get into the fight, you're going to see me fire 2 rounds at it by aiming up. And then I'm just going to run round to the other side. And I don't know why this works, I just tried it randomly one time and it seemed to work. If you fire from this side, all the shots seem to hit. They all make contact. So I just do that every time now. And we find another mansion key in the fireplace. So we're basically done with the guardhouse now and ready to head back to the mansion.
Wesker!
Jill, so you're safe.
That's what I was going to say. Where on earth have you been? You disappeared from the hall all of a sudden.
I'm sorry, but I have my reasons. Perhaps you guys have met them? It was all I could do to protect myself against those strange creatures.
Is that right? Anyway, it's good to see you're safe.
I met Barry too a while ago. I think there's something wrong with him.
Yes, I agree with you. Sure was strange, wasn't he? He looked so tired.
Well, maybe it's quite natural under these circumstances. Jill, our first priority is to get out of here.
Yes, you're right.
Now, there are a lot of rooms in that mansion that we can't get into because they're locked up. I have been looking around for clues.
Okay, I'll go to the other house and see if I can find any clues.
Will you do that? I'm counting on you.
And through the magic of editing, I've got myself another coffee and ready for the second half of this run. I think this must be roughly halfway-ish. So I'm just having a think about my inventory and what's going on next, what I want to take with me. And I'd recommend, if you're playing this for the first time, I don't really do it here, or at least not now, perhaps a bit later on I might a bit. But if you're trying to learn your way around the mansion, the best method I found of doing that is, at first when you start playing, pretty much whenever you come out of a room... Oh, we've got a radio.
This is Brad. I know you can't answer me, but somehow, give me a phone.
This is Jill. Brad? Oh, it's broken.
Yep, it's still broken, Jill. It hasn't magically fixed itself. What was I talking about? Oh, there's something that you need to know here. Notice that the water's coming down here, which prevents us from getting past. That's part of a puzzle. I think it's one of the ones that catches people out. When people get stuck in this game, it's quite often because it's not really clear that there's a path behind there or what you're supposed to do, but we'll be doing that later. But yeah, learning your way around the mansion, I would recommend very much that you just open the map a lot. Whenever you come out of a room, go into a new room, have a look at the map, see where you are in relation to the main hall, see where you are in relation to places that you know. And that will really speed up the process of learning your what's where. So, second visit to the mansion is a little bit more dangerous because we've got some new enemies to deal with. That was a hunter. And generally speaking, in this version of the game, they die in one shot from an explosive round. Not guaranteed, but most of the time. Now notice I didn't reload the grenade gun there, and I think there's a reason for that. There's a couple of ways you could route this, or I mean that goes for the whole game, there's loads of different ways you could do it. But I'm thinking about whether or not I actually want to load those rounds now, or wait until we pick up some more acid rounds first. So here's a book that you need to check. In order to get this medal, which we will need a little later. So here, I couldn't remember if there was a hunter here or not, but if there is, you can hear them padding around. So I'm ditching the explosive rounds. We don't need the empty bottles. Don't really need the handgun at all anymore, and I just ditch it. Loads of shotgun rounds. Don't need that medal till a bit later. This is just my OCD of how I like to organise the box. I keep the Magnum rounds on me because we are going to be picking up more anyway, so they're going to be taking up that space. So I like to have them with me just so that I remember, you know, rather than trying to remember to keep a space empty, just take them with me. So I've loaded up the acid rounds, which means that I intend to go and fight the next boss, who does not like acid rounds. Well, I doubt that any of them like acid rounds. Just a little just in case safety save. This is a segmented run. I think I actually played it in 2 segments. So far, everything we've seen so far has been played in 1 segment, but I've got some more hunters coming up here. I'm not sure if acid rounds always kill those in one shot or not, but certainly did in that case. Now we have the helmet key. We can go through this door. And meet an old friend. If you've got acid rounds, the way to get through this one is just to spam the fire button like a nutter. 4 hits, and the fight's over. So you don't need to aim up or down. I just tap aim fire, aim fire, aim fire.
Jill, have you found anything interesting?
Yes, but I can't see very well.
How about going down to check by yourself? I have a rope here.
Oh, do you? Well, then I'll try to go down using the rope.
Wait.
Hey, what's going on?
Now I've done it. Sorry, Jill. Wait. I'll go and get another rope.
Barry? Barry!
So this is actually a key point of decision making in the game, because this, I guess you're supposed to be demonstrating your trust for Barry here or something, because if you go down that ladder, Barry dies at the end of the game, and we are playing for the good ending where everyone lives, so we don't go down the ladder, we stand here and wait for him to come back.
Hey! Are you there, Jill? Grab the rope! I'm sorry, Jill.
I didn't know that was going to happen.
Sorry. I was really careless.
Are you okay, Barry? Maybe you're getting tired.
No, I'm all right. Don't worry. Jill, I found something.
Thank you. I'll take this then.
So I'm not sure which way I go here. Normally when I play through the game, I go straight back down the hole and explore that bit, but I've got a feeling I came back to that later because I wanted to test out this file that we just looked at, the pass number. I'm a bit confused by this in this version of the game because I think I know what it's supposed to do and I've never been able to get it to work. So I think here I go on a little bit of a detour because I wanted to see if the pass number opened the door. Oh. And I think, is that the first damage I took in this playthrough? I think it might be the first hit. If you're quick enough when you get to that corner, you can get that hunter before he hits you. I was just a bit slow. So we've used up all of the acid rounds now. So I've come back here to pick up some explosive rounds. Just thinking if I need anything else. The helmet key won't be with us for too long, because that only opens one more door, I think, and then it will be gone from the inventory. So I think, yeah, so I'm going to go across to the other side of the mansion, which I kind of need to do anyway, to access the last door with the helmet key. But I really wanted to try out the pass number to see if it would work on the door that it should open. And I need to Google it actually, because it doesn't work for me for some reason. So this is a good place to stand to take out these two. Kind of wait until they get nice and close so there's less chance of missing. Yeah, so this door has a passcode needed, and it says I don't know the pass number, but I'm sure that's what Barry just gave me. Yeah, it says I've got the pass number, and I'm sure that this is the only other door it can be for, as far as I'm aware. So why it doesn't work, I've no idea. It might be something just weird with this version of the game, or it could be some kind of bug in my install, I don't know. It's not a deal breaker, it just means that a little bit later in the game I just have to take a slightly longer route to get around it. So, if you want the Colt Python, there's an important item in this room, but you can only get it when the light is switched off. And I think it's supposed to be sparkling, but it doesn't sparkle. Now you can see it. So remember earlier we placed the blue jewel in the eye of the tiger. Well, now we can go and do the same with the red jewel in the other eye. Once again, I just checked again just in case. I didn't know if there might be something that triggers it working. So you can see there in the west wing, second floor, there's still a fair portion that hasn't been explored yet. And that's something we'll be obviously coming to. You don't need that passkey to get to it, thankfully. But it does mean that in order to get to that part of the mansion, I have to come back and go down the hole where Barry dropped the rope. And it seems like, okay, I'll change my mind. Perhaps I'm going downstairs, am I? So as you can see, these all... most of the time they die in one shot from the explosive rounds, but enemies in this game do have random amount of health to some extent, so always be ready to quickly switch over to the shotgun and finish one off. So this is why I came back. I realised it made sense to come and do this now. Changed my mind again. So I think I've remembered here. Okay, I just wanted to pick up the flame rounds just in case I needed them. So a little bit of faffing around there, but I think overall that was probably the best order to do things in. Doesn't really make a lot of difference as long as you do it all. And by the way, in that second fight with Yawn the snake, he can't poison you. He does in the first one, but not in the second one. He can damage you a fair bit, but if you get 4 acid rounds off nice and quick, he doesn't get a chance. I'm being indecisive about my... Okay, I don't Need those, apparently. So one of the things I'm conscious of is just making sure... I'm just trying to remember how many spaces do I need in my inventory for what's coming up. And if I'm not sure, just maximising the space that I can have just in case. So I can't... I haven't absolutely memorised the whole thing. There's just a couple of key points where I know, oh, okay, at this point I want to make sure I've got, like, there's a bit coming up where I want to make sure there's a battery we'll pick up. Before we go outside again, I'm going to want the battery and the crank in the inventory. And that just never gets old. It's so satisfying. I know it's a weird thing to say, but I love the combat in this game. It's one of the reasons why I still have a real love for this original Resident Evil, is because you can shoot all the enemies. It isn't just zombie dodging. And although it's really simplistic, I mean, I don't know if you can really call it combat, but as simplistic as it is, bloody hell, that shotgun is satisfying. And look at, I think, do I get a 2? Oh, I was a bit slow. What a shame. I should have got 1 shot, 2 kills there, but it didn't happen. But thankfully, right next to a couple of herbs, so I'll probably grab them and use them. So I'm picking up the herbs and combining them here, just to avoid the problem of potentially picking one up and then not being able to use it because I'm at full health. Not that that would happen here, but it's just a habit, and it's probably a good habit to get into. So the landmine zombies, don't shoot them with a shotgun because it takes loads of rounds and it's a waste. If you got the handgun on you, by all means kill them with that. If you do want to kill them, the best thing to do is just run into them and then mash the pad and you'll stomp their heads. I think you'll probably see me do that once or twice. Remember, you always need to aim up for the headshots. So just hold aim, hold it up, and then just before you pull the trigger, tap the aim button. Not hold aim, hold ready and hold up, and then tap the aim button or the switch target button just before you fire. It's a little secret room. It shows us that there's actually a helipad kind of around the back of the mansion. I don't pick those up, but just showing you that they're there if you are still using the handgun. There are still bullets to pick up. You don't need to hit that switch. I just did it to show what it does. It just lights up that corner showing you that that's where you have to push the statue to. I'm not sure why I ran all the way around the other side. I think I was under the impression that you have to in order to complete the puzzle, but looking at it, I don't think that's the case. And this is important, make sure you come and do this bit, because you pick up the first MO disc, which that's a key item. There's 3 of them that we need for the end of the game if we're going to get the good ending. And save. We want to save Chris Redfield, and we want to make sure Barry lives. So here's the battery we're going to need. So ditching those flame rounds before I came down here was a good idea, or else I wouldn't have had space for all this. So you do want to come down here with at least 3 inventory spaces. Yeah, so that door is the other side of the past door that wouldn't work. So I should be able to use that shortcut back to the mansion, but I can't. And I think here, I do go back and just show you how to kill the landmine zombies in case you don't know. Just walk into them and then mash the pad, and you do that. And you will lose a little bit of health, but it's barely anything. And I think I just did that because I noticed there was green herbs right here, so I may as well just demonstrate it. And then realised, of course, that I can't actually pick one up right now. But whatever. So because that shortcut didn't work, I need to come back down the lift and go back into the mansion through the other door down here. Yeah, like I said, it's better to do that than to waste shotgun rounds on those guys. Now it's push, mate. And apparently that is an unusually strong zombie. You can still take his head off with one shotgun shell, but if you try and kill him with anything else, apparently it takes loads of ammo. So I've heard. I've only ever killed him with a shotgun. The music is so good. Just consistently good throughout the whole game. There you saw the hunter's leaping attack. If they do that close to you, they normally hit you twice. And if you think a leaping attack is coming, then the best thing to do is to run forward towards them and they'll leap over you. The hunters probably don't look terribly dangerous in this run through because as soon as I see one I just blast them with an explosive shell and they die instantly. But they are bloody dangerous. The problem with the hunters is that if you're anything below, I think it's like 70% health, then they can just do an instant kill decapitation on you. They just leap towards you and swipe and your head comes off and that's it. So you do have to really keep your wits about you regarding positioning and stuff. So here, make sure you've got the crank and the battery. That's the essentials. And I think I'm trying to think here, just as I am now, about how many spaces you need to leave open. I think one's enough. So I'm ditching the shotgun for the flame rounds, because in the next bit I think it's all hunters that we're fighting. Hunters and a big spider. Because now we've got the crank and the battery, we're ready to go back outside. So we're in the west wing and we want to get back over to the east wing to get back to the garden. And we can use the battery to solve a puzzle to access a new area. There's a couple of spiders coming up. Kill them if you want to. They will die in one shell each from the grenade launcher, normally. But you can just run past them. It's up to you. You do have plenty of rounds to kill them if you want to. Oh, that was panic fire from me, just wasting a shell. And yeah, the grenade gun, because it takes different types of ammo, the grenade gun has no tactical reload. So the only way to reload it is from your menu, combining the ammo with the gun. The dogs don't respawn. And I think that's pretty much when it's a good time to ditch the handgun, is when you don't have any dogs left in the game. Which I think is after you come out here the first time, you have to kill 6 dogs. I think I'm right in saying that those are the last 6 in the game. I could be wrong. So what we're trying to do here is to stop that water. That's the idea of the puzzle, and I think that's what's not obvious for a new player. So you can put the battery in here in the second lift, and this allows us to then close the sluice gate, stop the water flow, and we can still get back down because this lift is now active, as you will see. It's a bit of a faff to run around and do it. I just remembered that I could do with a little bit of a heal. Like to stay topped up, safest thing to do. Especially with hunters coming up. If you're not green, if you're not 100% and you're fighting hunters, remember you're in danger of them being able to do an instant kill move. So you do want to stay topped up. You do want to be OCD about it. And that's the last use of that crank. We don't need that anymore. But it'll be a while until we get a chance to get rid of it. It's probably the one thing that would actually make this game a little more kind of convenient to play, as if you were able to discard items. It's a bit funny that it lets you do it with the keys, but nothing else.
Oh, Jill, what good timing. A moment ago I heard someone's voice coming from this hole. Let's go together since it's dark and we can't see very well.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, then I'm gonna cover you. Let's hurry. Hey, are you all right? I can go first if you want me to.
Wes, please. I'm a little nervous.
I understand. It may be more dangerous if you come behind me. Be careful.
Barry?
That was too close. Let's go together.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, then I'm gonna cover you. Let's hurry.
So during that cutscene we made two choices. Barry asks if we should go with him, and if you want the good ending, I believe you have to say yes. He then asks, do you want me to go first? And I don't think it matters what you say to that. It makes no difference. But make sure you say yes to the first one if you want to save Barry.
Is that Jill?
Is that voice Enrico's?
Yeah?
You're alive!
Wait there! Are you with anybody, Jill?
What? Oh, yes.
Enrico!
So, Barry and Jill together.
Are you all right, Enrico?
The stars are doomed. Someone is a traitor. Everything was plotted from the start by Umbrella.
Curiouser and curiouser. Seems there may be a traitor. So now we get another crank, and this is a bit confusing. Remember the new crank. Two hunters here. Remember the new crank is kind of light brown, and the old crank is dark brown. Because for the bits you've got coming up here, you need the new crank. Plenty of explosive rounds to deal with these hunters. This is a little bit of a maze. Took me a while to learn my way around it. I think here's where I took a break. I saved the game here and then came back to it a little later. So we're now in the second segment of the run. But yeah, what's a bit odd about this place is that although it's a bit of a labyrinth, but it doesn't give you the map until you're about to leave the area. I think that's just Shinji Mikami trolling us. So to trigger the boulders, just go up to them, then turn around and run. A hunter appears in this room, and depending on which way you run, depends on where he spawns. And if you do what I do here, you want to wait for him to jump and then kill him as he lands. And we've got a boss fight coming up, and the strategy here is spam. So I intentionally wasted another round there so that I can combine those two together, free up an inventory slot, and then pick up this knife. These little spiders are annoying. They can interrupt you using this knife to break through the door. They don't do a lot of damage. And if you haven't got the space and you absolutely can't pick up the knife, you can blast the door open with a couple of grenade shells. It's just a bit of a waste of ammo. Run left there to get to the save room. See, there's a blue herb there, but I don't think... Oh, actually, there are snakes in that corridor. Maybe you can get poisoned. So I'm just topping up my health. I kind of did that in a unnecessarily convoluted way, but whatever. So you still need the new crank, but get rid of the old one. Take the eagle medal, that's right, that's what I always forget here. I mean, it only takes a second if you forget to run back. It only takes a second to run back and get it, because you need it in the room next door. But you want the eagle medal. I've picked up the shotgun, so I've now got 2 weapons. Snakes in here, just keep running, just ignore them. As long as you run, you won't get hit. Another boulder. Here, you want the hole to be on the left. And I think it's random. Sometimes you have to crank it 3 times, sometimes you have to crank it twice. It's a bit orangey. But it is important at that last visit to the storage box to make sure you've got a couple of inventory slots free. Because there's a couple of things you want to pick up before we leave. So, same as last time. Get ready to run into the gap. You want to push this, I think it's like 5-6 times to put it in the right place. And same as last time, don't forget to check the book for the second medal. So yeah, there's the map. And we're literally 1 room away from leaving. And there's the second demo disc. Important, don't forget that. Make sure you've got room for it. If you haven't, then that room with the storage box is literally just through that door that we just ran past. And we're nearly there, ladies and gentlemen. We're coming up to the final area of the game. Underground lab. Use the 2 medals. What a treat this has been. I mean, I go back and play some retro games and they don't stand up very well. But Some really do. You know, gameplay really is king. And after... I mean, this game has such like a kind of flow to it. After you've been playing 10 minutes, you don't even notice the graphics. You're thinking about what weapons you're carrying, what ammo you've got, what herbs you want to take with you, how much... trying to manage your inventory space, you know, navigating your way around the mansion, and you're thinking about so much. You get into such like a flow state with it that it really, you know, I think it's like black and white movies, you know. When you're a kid, you kind of assume that any film in black and white must just be shit. And then you watch a few really good ones and you're like, oh, okay. And I really wonder, 'cause I mean, I'm 46. No, I'm not. I'm 47. I was 47 last week. I'm 47, and I do wonder, what does a young 20-year-old gamer make of this? If they came back and played this, the original Resident Evil, would they just play this for half an hour and just think, what a load of old shit? Be a shame if they did. I think it's so easy to get sucked in and engrossed in this game. And this isn't even the best one either. I think, you know, Resi 2's, you could probably argue, is a better game. And I know that most say that they prefer the Resi remake to this. Not totally sure that I agree with that, but it is fantastic. I'm just not sure if I would say it was better. Partly because I love the combat, and in the Resi remake you do have to be a lot more careful with ammo and dodge zombies. So I was just tried that door there just to show you that it says it's electronically locked. So we've got a bit of puzzling to do down here. We've got some naked zombies. And these guys do respawn, but not infinitely. I believe they respawn 3 times, I think. So it's up to you if you want to kill them or just run past them. And this is an important room. There's a computer here. I'm not going to bother accessing it because although I do know the login and the password, there are some slides you can pick up, get them. Although I know the login and the password, I just wanted to show the player how you actually find the login and the password before I went and did it. So if you were doing a speed run or just wanting to be quick, you wouldn't have to do all this stuff that I'm about to do. This is something you'd only really do on your first playthrough. But you come in this room, turn the light on, and there's a file here that kind of explains what's going on. So we've got a letter to someone called Ada, don't know who that could be. But he starts talking about logons. He says you can access the system if you log on with my name. The password is your name. And then he says to access the B2, you'll need another password, and the code is at the bottom. So there's a weird 4-symbol code there, and his name is John. And that's what we want to know. So John, Ada. So log on is John, Ada's the password, and then we got this 4-digit code with these symbols. So this painting shows us what the symbols are. Well, how does that help us? Well, this is how. Turn on the blue light, then go back and have a look at the painting, and we can see what the actual words are. So now we know what they say. So we know when we go back to it what the symbols for each letter actually are. So if you then go back to the file and compare that to the code that John gave us, it's then not difficult to work out those 4 symbols. Look for those in the painting and you can work out what letters they actually are. And the answer is M-O-L-E. So now that we've got all that information, we can go back to the computer room and log on. So there's a locked door there, and here we've got a passcode panel with 3 lights. And that tells us that we need 3 passcodes. But for the time being, we're back to the computer room, because now we can actually log on and unlock those electronically locked doors. No, spell it correctly. So John, Ada. That initially gets us into the system. Now we need the passcode to unlock the doors on B2. That also lets us unlock B3 without any further passwords needed. So everything's now unlocked. And it's kind of time for the big reveal, really. We come back upstairs. And this room, we can go in now. See, there's a projector, so we can use our slides. And all these monsters are actually bioweapons designed by the Umbrella Corporation. What a bunch of bastards. And who the hell is that there on the right hand side? Is that someone we recognise? So on the left here, my inventory's full at the moment. I just wanted to show that the 3rd MO disc is here, but we're going to have to come back for that once we've freed up a bit of space. There is a storage room downstairs, so you can do this next bit in a few different orders. You don't have to follow the exact order that I do it in. But I think it just kind of made sense. So the key that we've just picked up opens this door with the blue light on it. So you do want to come in here next. And that frees up a space. We don't need it anymore. So we got a lift. It doesn't currently have any power. Storage room is that door just there. Don't need to go in there right this second. Going to take care of some business first. Get the grenade gun out. We've got some new enemies in here. So these are chimeras. And most of the time they go down with one explosive shell. I think the flame rounds normally kill them as well in one hit. But if at any point you hit one and it doesn't die, finish it off with the shotgun to save a bit of ammo. So we had to hit that computer terminal to turn part of the system on to get the lift going. And here's our first passcode machine. So we have our first code. Get the power to the elevator turned on. It's quite big. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea what that means. I guess that's the auto-destruct sequence initiator, which we can't use, but maybe there's someone else who does. I think there's a chance that you can have a chimera respawn when you run back through there, but I haven't seen it happen. I just saw it to happen to someone else when I was watching videos. I thoroughly enjoyed watching some people do runs of these games over the past couple of weeks. I should definitely shout out, obviously, Carcinogen, SDA, Carcy. Great vids. Not necessarily the most useful if you're a new player, because they're mostly speed runs and, you know, strats to play quick and stuff. But definitely worth watching because you pick up some really useful stuff. You also shout out to Boulder Punch, great YouTuber, great content, very entertaining reviews of all the Resi games and stuff. And obviously Susie the Sphere Hunter. There's at least 2 or 3 others who I can't think of as well, but there are some really good retrospective videos. And then we've got a slide puzzle. So much like the room where we got the 4th crest in the mansion, there's 2 vents on the floor that will spew out poisonous gas if you don't cover them up. So we've got to cover these up with the boxes before we push the stairs over the switch. We have code 2 of 3. We need to make sure that's all the Magnum rounds in the game that we've got now. We've got 30 in total, and we haven't used it yet. Which, by the way, you can. I mean, you know, you can use the shotgun way earlier than I did if you want to. You can use the Cult Python way earlier than I do. I mean, I use the shotgun a lot because I like it. So yeah, I came in and out of there because I remembered I had to come back up here and get the final disc before I carry on. We are nearly there. One more passcode to get. At least you know when you blow a zombie's head to bits, it's fucking dead. It ain't getting up. Right, so we have 3 codes, and here is a door that requires 3 codes.
Jill? Is that you, Jill?
Oh, Chris, you're alive!
Of course. Damn it, we're in quite a predicament, Jill.
I know, Chris. Anyway, I have to open this room. It doesn't work. Well, Chris, I'll be sure to come back and help you soon. Will you wait here?
Thanks. I'll be waiting here for you.
Quite a predicament indeed. So we found the young man. If you're playing as Chris, then it's Jill who's locked up in the cell. Now this is a bit counterintuitive, because if you're playing for the first time, it probably wouldn't occur to you that the right thing to do is to abandon Chris and go and get on the lift and bugger off. But that is the right thing to do in order to progress the game. This is a good time to have one last visit to the storage room if you want, which is that door there. Probably what I'm doing here, just thinking, do I want anything else? I'm just going to equip the cult. And we are in for quite a cutscene.
Jill! Jill! You're here too!
Yes, you're here too?
Look, I lost my way.
Let's get going. Wesker?
You did a fine job, Barry.
Just as I thought.
I think you should stay away from Barry, Jill. I hear that his wife and 2 daughters will be in danger if he doesn't do everything I tell him to.
You are so cruel.
Well, you don't have to worry about anything, because you'll be free from this world very soon, Jill.
Why do you have to destroy stars?
That's Umbrella's intention. This laboratory has been engaging in dangerous experiments, and recently an accident has occurred. Anyway, this disaster cannot be made public.
That's why having stars nosing about is so inconvenient. So you're a slave of Umbrella now, along with these virus monsters.
I think you misunderstand me, Jill. To me, the monsters you mention mean nothing. I'm going to burn all of them together with this entire laboratory. I must complete my mission as ordered by Umbrella. Barry, go up on the ground and wait there.
Barry!
Barry's such a fool. He'll be under the control of Umbrella forever.
How come both Umbrella and you can intimidate him by taking his family as hostages?
Umbrella? Well, I intimidated him, but it had nothing to do with Umbrella. I just used him for my personal purposes, though both you and Barry seem to think I was following orders from Umbrella.
So you're planning something else?
If you succeeded in developing the world's most powerful biological weapon, what would you do? What if you were in charge?
You must stop this now.
You're a brave girl. But if I were you, I wouldn't give up such a big discovery. You guys are idiots. No one understands its real value.
So you're going to steal all the research?
Better yet, I'm going to show you the Tyrant.
Barry,
Sorry, Jill.
how's your family?
I was listening to what you and Wesker were talking about. I wish I realized it earlier. I thought it must have something to do with Umbrella, you know. So it's all been masterminded by him.
But it's good that you know that now. Anyway, let's get out of this house first.
Jill,
Yes, what?
do you have any idea what Wesker was going to show you at the back of this place?
Well, he was talking about the world's most powerful biological weapon, called Tyrant or something, I think.
Do you think we could see Tyrant now?
Barry, you're so optimistic.
It would look bad for Stars if we let such a dangerous creature run loose.
Maybe you're right. Let's go then. Can a creature like this really be the ultimate biological weapon?
Really? Wesker is a crazy man.
Tyrant is not completely developed.
But we can't let it live. That must be the computer for monitoring this creature. Damn you!
It can't control what it does.
So, with the Colt Python, 3 shots and you're done. I don't normally use the Colt for this, I normally do it with the shotgun. Once you've killed it, don't forget to go and get Barry.
Barry? Barry! You're alive!
I'm really embarrassed. I was clumsy.
Let's get going.
Yeah, I normally like to kill that with the shotgun. There's some handgun ammo in the corner there for some reason, just in case you do want it. But I think with the shotgun it takes 9...
What happened to Wesker?
The triggering system has now been activated. All researchers and guards should take cover
Wesker
immediately.
must have set it off.
Unlock
There's not
all
much time left for us.
activation. Has now been activated. All researchers and guards should take cover immediately. Unlock all rooms for evacuation. The triggering system.
In 9 or 10 shells with the shotgun normally does it.
All researchers
When you come through this door, hold, aim, ready. If you hang around, there is another one, but if you just run straight through this door, you won't see him. But regardless of whether you kill him or not, there will be another one on the way out. And don't forget Chris.
Oh, Jill!
Sorry for keeping you waiting.
So everything is done?
Well, almost, yes. Now let's go.
triggering system has now been activated. All researchers and
And here's the most meaningful cutscene in the game.
unlock all rooms for evacuation.
Let's go!
Answers on a postcard.
Has now been activated.
Pre-aim again here.
All researchers and guards
Oh, I missed somehow.
unlock all rooms for evacuation.
Using the Python on zombies is very satisfying. Instant head pop.
Has now been activated.
And you have plenty of bullets.
And guards should take cover
You know, you can use the Python way earlier than I did.
Let's go!
So you got one last visit to the storage box. Most important thing here, I mean, all you really need is the Python, but make sure you have at least one empty inventory slot, or you can't finish the game.
Hurry!
This is Brad. Running out of fuel. If there is anyone alive, contact me now, okay?
Yeah, Brad's really concerned about us after he just abandoned everyone at the beginning of the game. So yeah, the game forces you to have a free inventory slot by making you pick up this battery in order to activate this lift.
There is 3 minutes until explosion.
Oh no! You must be kidding! After we've come all the way here!
Ladies first! Go first, Jill!
But Chris!
Give me a chance to play nice.
Okay, I leave it up to you. See you again at the heliport.
The triggering system has now been activated. All researchers and guards.
And by the way, I hadn't mentioned the... Oh, look at sexy Jill with our 5 o'clock shadow. I hadn't mentioned that this Japanese version of the game is actually a bit easier than the American and European versions, is that the enemies take a few less shots. So pick up the flare and activate the flare. This is a good place to stand to do it, according to Carsey anyway. So just fire away. 5 shots.
Jill! Kill that monster! You're our Amazon, Jill!
This is why you need the free inventory slot. We're just building up the tension. Oh. And that's Resident Evil. See, I don't think there's any more dialogue for me to ruin by talking over it. But yeah, the American and European version of the game, I think enemies take, I think it's 1.5 times, they have 1.5 times more health, so you do use more ammo in those versions. Look at Barry, fine figure of a man. And your final treat is the awful, awful end credit music. You don't think it's too bad, but wait for the guitar to come in. Thank you for joining me, ladies and gentlemen, for this trip down memory lane. And a big thank you to the Classic Rebirth guys. Oh, there is one nice bit of guitar playing. And then it kind of turns to shit as it fades out. So how did we do? One. That's a bit weird, isn't it? This video's, we've been going like 2.5 hours and it says 1:55. So maybe it doesn't count the cutscene time? I don't know. But yeah, if you finish the game, you get the key for the special costumes. We saw where that room was earlier on. So enjoy that. And thank you for joining me. Good afternoon, good evening, good night. See you next time. Bye bye.